Hey everyone. I'm going to do my best to be completely nice to all of you this evening. Let's see how that goes. Yeah. But first, AMA short form. Going to try to answer everything. Like I said, going to try to be nice, even answer the beginner's questions. But if it can be answered in the homework, I'm going to answer it really quickly, not go into detail, and then tell you to do the homework. Super chats are prioritized as always. Would love to get some teal pairs in there, stuff like that. Goldobservers.com technically is the sponsor for the upcoming documentary on Earth's magnetic pole shift, the disaster cycle, the solar micronova, the galactic current sheet, everything that happens every few thousand years on this planet, and which is getting ready to happen once again. And once again, I will say it, that if you aren't at least starting to prep, you are way behind. I still get asked on a daily basis, when should I be finding my final location? When should I start prepping? And my answer is like, 2019, yesterday, sometime before you asking me that right now. You got your location, you've got your preparations in order. Fill in the gaps. Fill in the gaps. And there's room for gold and silver at every stage. It's obvious what that is right now. It's obvious what that is if there's a collapse of the dollar or an economic collapse, or as we descend into a barter type system. What you might not know is gold is the perfect electromagnetic reflector. All right. And on top of that, silver is antimicrobial. It releases the same kind of antimicrobial ions that you would get in colloidal silver. It's not a one-for-one exact thing, but there's still the antimicrobial silver ions as long as it's touching an ionic fluid, ergo blood. You can't even imagine how many people are going to die during this thing from simple infections. Goldobservers.com, fill in the gaps. And I thank them for sponsoring the documentary as well. If you have questions about Observer Ranch, go to observerranch.com. Send us an email through there if they're ranch-specific questions. I'm hoping all of you have been to observerranch.com at some point already, seen the events list, other things like that. Yeah. So I think that pretty much covers it. Let's see what we've got here. Did I miss any super chats while I was It doesn't appear that I did. Okie dokie. So let's see. What do we got here? Oh, I see GSD Alpha's here. That's awesome. What's up, Alpha? Sun pulsed today in north central Texas. Well, I can assure you the sun was nowhere near north central Texas. It was way out there in space. And if it pulsed for somewhere, it pulsed for everywhere. And I've been watching the sun all day. It didn't do anything at all. So I'm going to say poppycock to this claim that there was a pulse on the sun today. And that's about as nice as I'm capable of being about that. All right, so let's see. Yeah. Hey, Ben, you're better when you're salty. Well, maybe not. Well, let's try to do this, and we'll see if we like it better or not. Somebody's asking what my deadlift PR is. I'm here to answer questions about the micronova and the pole shift. If you really want about space weather, solar climate forcing, solar triggering of earthquakes and volcanoes, but this person wants to know what my deadlift PR is. I have never done a 1 rep max PR ever. I really don't like doing sets of less than 5 for anything, and I usually aim for 8 to 10, so I don't even know how to answer that. Yes, you're cooked in the Great Lakes. Ben, where's the calculation for sea elevation and miles inshore safe zone? What do you mean, where is the calculation? Where's my desalinator? All right, I'm going to try to do this nicely. for like the 1,000th time. Somebody give me a teal pair or something. Elevation in feet plus miles to the closest ocean. Better get that number above 5,000 if you can. And what is the basis for the Giza axis for the flip? Everything else that tells us that's where it's going. There's nothing about Giza. It's about the ice weight in Greenland. It's about where the magnetic poles are going. It is where religion, myth, and scientific analysis says the new poles are going to be. All three of those things demand that the Earth tilt in the same way, which is you look at Greenland and you take Greenland to the equator like this, and the Bay of Bengal is up at the top and South America is down at the bottom. They all say that's how it goes, which means on the side of the Earth, on one side, you got the Pacific Ocean, and the other side, you got Giza. It's that easy. Helen, thank you for the teal pair. May have saved me here. May have saved. You've at least saved me for the time. Oh, wow. And Michelle and Logan. All right. Michelle, Logan, Helen, thank you. You guys have saved me from getting overly salinated right off the bat. By the way, I'm noticing a lot of questions, and they're coming from a place where either you're convinced I've got a crystal ball I'm hiding somewhere, or that I am Jesus Christ reincarnated. And I can assure you neither of those two things is the truth. So, yeah. Pete and Susan, thank you for the teal pairs as well. Antoine or AR, thank you. Appreciate that. Instead of a teal pair, he gave me a salt shaker. I like it. Why would you be cooked in the Great Lakes? Because they're going to do what the oceans do. They are going to leave their beds. Where can I get a cool Faith t-shirt you wear in the trailer? Where can I get the cool Faith t-shirt you wear in the... I have no idea, man. I don't even remember where I got that. I may have got that off Temu, actually. Back before I realized that Temu was like the junior varsity version of Amazon. Like, admit it. The first time you looked at Temu, you were like, this is amazing. This is way better than Amazon. You don't realize how everything is. Yeah, we don't use Temu anymore. Grand, thank you for the teal pair. I appreciate that. I really appreciate all you guys. I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions that are on point at this juncture, but still. Yeah. Is anybody on X following Noble Art, Craig Stone? Did you see the thing he posted? First of all, I assume most of you saw the footage of the tornado where it's got the wavy base to it. He found a plasma filament doing the exact same thing. I tried to no avail to convince everyone this is how tornadoes work. Back in like 2013, 2014, obviously I did not do a good job. If you are following Noble Art, Craig Stone on X, who's like one of the people I've like donned one of the kings of catastrophism, boy, is that a great post. I'm sure some of you must have seen it. I retweeted it today. So even if you don't follow him, if you just follow me, it's on my page. But it's not just tornadoes that are acting strange. Noctilucent clouds are acting strange. Did you see the footage from Europe of the noctilucent clouds? No. We're on the descent here. We are on the descent here. Do I think we'll have a city on Mars before stuff goes down on Earth? No, I don't. I really, really don't. Geneva, thank you for the teal pair. I appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. Urgent Ben, check your email after your stream. Which email? I've got a bunch of them. One I never check. But fine, maybe I'll check it. Bogdan says, stay strong. I agree. I will try. Logan says, I've noticed that most people and pole shift people are at least older than 30. Is there a place in the prepping community for young men like myself? Absolutely. The problem is, if you're under 30, the chances of you having the financial means to do all this on yourself are very little. What you can do is become part of a network. Whether that's the network at Observer Ranch, which is the survival community this dude is in charge of saving, or one of the many other ones all around the world that are popping up through the Solar Killshot Action Network, which, by the way, is the group at solarkillshot.org. The whole purpose of that site was so that observers could meet other observers. Why does that matter? Because if your network is not other observers, even if they're homesteaders, even if they're preppers, even if they think the world's coming to an end, if they don't have these specific things in mind, the magnetic pole shift, the solar micronova, the breakdown of society in different stages, the micronova unlocking the crust and the endurance of the new age of Earth, you're not going to convince them to prep in the appropriate way. If your network is not observers, you're screwed. Unless you found like a bunch of people who just think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they're just going to listen to whatever you say for whatever reason, no questions whatsoever. If that's you, congratulations. But you need observers. So you either need to go on solarkillshot.org and find observers where you are, or see what you can do to be a part of this, guys. I've thought of a couple of things, by the way. I see I've missed some super chats. Jimmy Joe, thank you for the teal pair. Appreciate that. How likely, in your opinion, is the Cascadia fault line going to go off in the next 5 to 10 years? Probably. Well, if we're constraining it to the next 5 to 10 years, I say 50-50. By the time this whole thing unfolds, whenever the zenith of the event is in the 2040s, I'm pretty sure it's going. Do you have a timeline on the pole shift, Rob? Yes, I do. And you really need to do the homework. Okay? You really, really need to do it. It's right down there below the video, by the way. The short answer is, in terms of when the magnetic pole shift will complete, when the solar micronova will occur, when it will unlock the crust and the planet will actually turn 90 degrees, bringing the great tsunamis, the cosmic week of hell, followed by the next golden age of the next age of Earth. That's going to be in the 2040s, I'm pretty sure. The timeline for when society breaks down probably does have to move up. I had sort of been looking at it linearly. And so, like, okay, as we lost this much, we're seeing this much happen, and then this much happen with this much more loss. It looks like the things that hold civilization together will not follow that linear path. It'll be closer to exponential or logarithmic when it comes like that. So, before I was saying, hey, look, 2040s is when this is all going down. I don't love our chances of getting through the solar maximum of the 2030s. I still do not, I have no change to my guess about when the zenith of the event will occur. The question is, do I really have to consider the possibility that the civilization will not last as long as I thought? Because it's not going to last all the way up to that. And that makes me say, prep yesterday. What are you doing? If you're not prepping right now, oh my God, you are in so much trouble. And I know it seems like, oh, but there's so much other stuff happening. I'm monitoring the situation, as they've started to say on social media. And I still got life and my job and my kids and debt and all. Find a way. Just stop complaining. Stop being a baby. Find a way, or you're dead and your family's dead. Okay? That's what's at stake. Find a way. All right, I scrolled too far. Urgent, please do not forget. I spoke with Barb. Thank you. Exo headquarters, you couldn't tell me which email of mine that you sent it to? Okay. Exo headquarters, I will say this. If this is one of those, hey, I figured something out and Ben needs to see it, do you have any idea how many times a day I get that email? Do you know how many of them have been right? I'll give you 2 guesses. But I will check my email. Because that's what responsible people do. I saw the most vivid rainbow of my life Saturday. Stars look brighter. Comets seem more noticeable. It's certainly speeding up. No fear. Right on. No problems with that one. What size flare would you expect total grid failure risk rise above 50% with our current weakened field? X30. But here's the thing. It's probably not going to be an X30. It's probably going to be like 4X2s or a filament eruption and a coronal hole and then a long duration M-class solar flare or an X7 plus a coronal. You see, that's far more likely. Far more likely. And I realize that doesn't actually help you, Kev, but that's the best answer I got. Thank you, Zach Ryan. I appreciate that. Dudes don't get compliments very often. We remember them for life, as I'm sure you know, because your name is Zach. Will you please explain what a phi angle flip is in really simple terms and how we can identify it on the chart space within? All right, so that's what's happening to our solar system with the galactic current sheet. That happens to Earth every 5 to 8 days within the solar wind, because the solar wind has the same rippling current sheet as well, and it still separates the northern and southern magnetic fields of the sun, just like the galactic current sheet separates the north and south magnetic fields of the galaxy. It's a galactic magnetic reversal versus a solar wind magnetic reversal, and this can be seen in the blue phi angle panel on the solar wind chart. You know, you see it riding here, and then all of a sudden it just jumps to like some other part of the chart. And then that's a phi angle flip. And you can confirm not only there, but there's usually a density spike with it. Just like there's a density spike of approximately 10% dust and gas and neutrals and ions with a galactic current sheet as well. Any new data on the magnetic anomaly that occurred off Portugal? I have absolutely no idea what magnetic anomaly you're talking about. Not a real question, but I'm a pilot car driver. I don't know what that means. And travel for a living. I've pretty much accepted my fate in that if this happens while I'm out on the road, I'm likely screwed. Stay strapped, stay strapped, stay strapped, stay strapped. Bum, 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 bum. Anybody knows what song that is, I'll be real impressed, especially because it's a remix. Scott Allen, thank you for the teal pair. Exo headquarters. Exo headquarters, you still ain't telling me what email I'm supposed to be looking at, but okay. Okay. I will check it just for all of the things that you're doing here right now. I'll check it out. Okay. Why worry about debt? It will all go away. In my opinion, even land deeds will be toast. True, but that's not going to be the case tomorrow. I highly doubt a year from now we will have experienced either a man-made or natural jubilee. These things still matter for the time being. You're very welcome, Exo headquarters. What kind of galactic maps do you use, if any, to calculate the time frames? I only did the math with distances to and from the nova stars. That's all I did too. But those can't tell you anything about the timing, because all of the stars towards the galactic center, the closest ones, they're all red dwarfs, highly magnetic, which means they're not even gonna nova. They're gonna super flare when they get hit by the current sheet. Okay, a G-type star, probably micronova. A yellow hypergiant, probably micronova. A white dwarf, probably micronova. A luminous blue variable, probably super flare. A magnetic red dwarf, probably super flare. A red giant, probably none. A close-in binary pair, like Alpha Centauri A and B, their magnetic fields are protecting each other, probably nothing. So Yeah, you're using what I'm using. Oh, scroll too far. Definitely scroll too far. Ben, thanks for your work. How likely would a cast iron stove survive a micronova without insulation? Any tips for insulating metals like guns, ammo, saws from conducting during the main event? The cast iron stove is an interesting question. The thicker the metal, the more it's going to attract, but also the more it would take to actually melt it. I can much more easily answer the second question. All right, just whatever your search engine is online, type in black, yellow, plastic, bin. You're going to recognize these things. I know you've seen them in Target or Walmart or whatever. That's what you want. All my guns and bullets are going in there. And they're sitting on a rubber mat as well, but that's optional. Ben, thanks for your work. Oh, never mind. Read that one already. This may be a do your homework question, but have you heard of this 2027 date being thrown around? Yes, I have. From AI to alien invasions, it keeps coming up in myriad areas. Any guesses on if this is a psyop? So I have gotten used to about every week somebody predicting a new doomsday. And it always comes from some obscure Russian scientist or from somebody who received some prophecy. And so if you have the faith, you got to believe them, right? And of course, if some obscure Russian scientist said it, even though they don't provide any links to who it is or where they said it or anything, they just say that they said it. I've probably seen 10,000 of these. Other than their existence themselves, I have never seen anything that would make me buy into any of them. Now, here's the thing about 2027. In terms of that being like when the pole shift happens or the micronova, definitely no. But in terms of that being a time frame when, hey, prepping's over. Civilization is over. You're not ordering anything off Amazon. You're not going to the store to get anything. You turn the tap, water's not even coming out. There's no internet. There's no phone. There's no 911, no heat, no air conditioning, no banks, no credit cards, no gas stations. That could happen next week for all I know. For all I know, one of these sunspots that's on the sun right now is going to have a mega development event while I sleep, and it's going to pop a super flare at us. And in 48 hours, the world's over. I don't know. That's the one part of this whole thing that really just can't be predicted. I can much more easily predict the micronova and the pole shift than I can when will society stop being society? When will civilization break down? When will the infrastructure fail? When is prepping over? It could be over next week. Might not be over until the 2040s. Not chances I would take. And it's more specific to your question. I have seen that date being thrown around. I have seen nothing of substance to believe it. That doesn't mean it's not true. It's just anyway. Thoughts on Genesis 9:6? That got me in trouble on Twitter about 2.5 weeks ago. In what context are you asking? Whose blood do you want to shed because you believe they've shed blood? I think that's Genesis 9:6, right? Whoever sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. If that's not what Genesis 9:6 is, I'm sorry. I just think that's what it is. So, but also I don't know what you're referring to. So go buy a drink with this $10 because you are going to need it. I appreciate that. I don't drink though. So it interferes with everything. Everything. Why are you showing off your muscles? For your wife, random alien. Shut the fuck up. That's as salty as I'm going to be. I don't have air conditioning and it's 1 billion degrees outside. And is this really a problem? Does this affect the quality of my words? If I say a true fact, are you going to believe me or not believe me based on what shirt I have on? Eat your heart out. Faggot. Damn it, I really tried too. Teal pears, inmediatamente, por favor. Can you tell us about some of the psyops that you are noticing that others might not be aware of? No, not really. Everything's a psyop. Everything is fake and gay right now. The entire world is fake and gay right now. All right? That's all I have to say. And I don't mean gay in the homosexual sense. I mean it in the way that we meant it in 1999 when we were saying it to our friends in the lunchroom. And you know what I mean when I say that. Okay. Is a micronova powerful enough to move planets away from the sun? No, Doug was very wrong about that. This planet has been habitable in this way for tens, hundreds of millions of years. Wondering if you could expand upon the tornado post you made on X. No. Did you read the post I made on X and the entire thread on it? He explains it very well. The fact that you're asking makes me think you didn't take the time to actually go through and read what he posted and then spend any time thinking about that in terms of electric currents, electric universe theory, other things like that. And if you don't know what any of that stuff is, you got a lot of homework to do. Agathusia, not only do I like your name, but that teal pear. All right, let's get me back on the nice train. I was doing okay until... MB Sloop, you make an interesting point. He says, hell, just take the shirt off. He does make an interesting point. Although that would take me even further away from what I'm trying to rectify. And by the way, what I'm trying to rectify references a post I made on X yesterday. So if you don't know, Western countries, males, age 30 to 60, that's the advertiser's wet dream. That's who they want to talk to. That's my audience. That's my audience. But you can't really advertise with me because, one, I'm a PR nightmare and I have no chill whatsoever, as I have already demonstrated here in the first 30 minutes of the show. Barry says, Jamon people in Japan, 40,000 years, will Japan survive? I have absolutely no idea what you're asking me, Barry. It depends. Is Japan going to become a smaller island and keep sinking, or is it going to rise out of the water? That's going to have a lot to do with it. Uh-oh. I almost knocked my computer over. Josh, thank you for the teal pear. Appreciate that. Same to you, Elizabeth. YO Joe says, song Two Steps from Hell by Invincible. No. But since we actually have a guess, I will tell you. It was a remix of ASAP by T.I., except the remix is called Stay Strapped by Young Jeezy. Yeah, you got to pull deep into your trap music file for that one. I'm not looking for psychic stuff, but my survival score is 250. Red, go down after shaking. Come up. How much time between coming up and sealing up the boat with me in it? Moments, Mark. Moments. There shouldn't be any, after the shaking and you exit the bunker, there shouldn't be anything on your list in between that and getting the boat ready if your tsunami risk score is 250. If it's 2,500, there should be nothing in between on your list of shit to do coming out of the bunker and getting the boat ready to go. If you're up over 4,000, maybe you can throw something else in there. Which constellation is on your shoulder? Well, I'll tell you this. That is Arcturus. You can figure out the rest from there. 'Tis where a piece of me is from. We'll just say that. Ben, why are there so many ignorant people? It's part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. Why do you torture yourself? I don't know, Carol. I don't know why I do this, but I also know there's a lot of red in my ledger, and I would like to black that out before the micronova. Tim Pool got so excited with static electricity yesterday. Well, that's because static electricity is exciting. Scrolling. How long do you think we will need to stay underground after the pole shift? You mean before the pole shift? 2 or 3 days. Juanita Page. The sun will start changing colors. Go down. Then everything will start shaking. Come back up. Then the crust shifts. That's why you have to come back up. Last May during the Aurora show, I saw what I thought, I guess that would be 2 Mays ago, but at this point, Drake, but I know what you mean. Saw what I thought was a sci-fi plasma stream bouncing off an invisible shield. I may have video and curious. Well, if you have video, that'd be fantastic. Send it along. Have you heard of the prediction that there will be major earthquake? Which one? My prediction that there's going to be a major earthquake, or somebody predicting some other one at some other time in some other location? Not a very helpful typing. There's Steve-O. Ben, take heart. Numerous scientific channels I follow are now talking openly about our sun having super flares and the ability to micronova. I'd be willing to bet a lot of them follow this channel. How is salt going to fare in the micronova? Very salty, Uber Archangel. Uh-oh, I scrolled too far. The Illuminati 2005 and Mario Builders, I think you mean Buildrips, seem to only expect a 30-degree tilt. Does that greatly mitigate the scale of this apocalypse? 1, no, it doesn't. 2, they're extremely wrong. A 30-degree tilt explains 0 evidence. Look at this. You see that? You see that there? Fucking 0. All these fun ideas and fun math and fun models, if it's not actually explaining the evidence, it's useless and wrong. Not that I haven't been saying that about Buildrips for the last decade, but whatever. It's going to smell like Shiza after the micronova. Probably, Nick. Probably. Plate tectonics. How much have the continental plates moved in the last 7 excursions? Would be, I don't know. Would be nice to know how many miles they move and where. Diebold Foundation, you mean Diehold Foundation, hinted, but never gave a good answer. He also made a lot of mistakes. Look, I miss Doug too. I love the guy. Most of you know about him because of me, and I'm very thrilled about that. But it doesn't change the fact that outside of his discovery of the nova level isotopes and his agreement with the general cycle timing, I believe he got a lot wrong. And I mean a lot. Okay, we got to scroll again. Wondering what your red pill moment was regarding the pole shift. The mammoths. The mammoths. The mammoths are dug out of the ice. Up here, right? That's where they were dug out of the ice. 30 feet of ice, 20 feet of ice. 12,000 years into a hot interglacial period. But they were frozen during the glacial period when it was 10 to 20 degrees colder. If there's 20 to 30 feet of ice there now, after 12,000 years of a hot interglacial, and nothing for the mammoths to eat, who would have had to eat 1,000 pounds of vegetation a day, let's drop the temperature 20 degrees and tell me how much plant growth was there here. If there's 30 feet of ice there now at the end of an interglacial, how much was there? No, It's because they were eating down here, and then the planet went like that. It put everything together for me. I would love a map with an overlay of state boundaries in the new Valley of the Sun area because I would want to know about current laws that might impede preparing for the shift. Can you make one? What? Danny, I can't even begin to guess what you're asking me for here. A map with an overlay of state boundaries in the... Dude, the new Valley of the Sun is just the eastern range of the Rockies. Like, there is no map of it. It's just the eastern range of the Rockies. Avoid big cities. Avoid shitholes like Denver. You're fine. Let's see Ben with a mighty beard. I don't think so. I look way better without facial hair. There's no question. There's no question. And I know somebody's going to be like, oh, no, but no. No. You've been outvoted and overruled in here and everywhere else. Hashi says the sun will change color. What did you mean by that? Do the fucking homework, buddy. By the way, just the act of swearing, does that count as salt? Or like, can I do it in a fun way like I just did? You know what? I can't hear any of your answers. So I'm just going to go with what I think. Reading and watching some of Dr. Robitaille's work, and it's hard for me because I don't have a scientific background, but I enjoy it anyways. You and everybody else, Paul. Grok thinks you're a liar. I think Grok is a liar. B to the T Studios. I appreciate the $2, but why type that? Have I not just been shitting on AI for weeks on end and explaining that they got kneecapped back in March because they were participating in the great noticing about Hebrews and Israel, because they were telling everyone climate science was bullshit and dark matter wasn't real, and that we're about to have another instance of Earth's disaster cycle, and that the jab was a bioweapon and COVID was fake? So they capped the knees out of OpenAI, Claude, Grok, all of them back in March. If you were listening to me a year ago, to be perfectly honest, I was a little like this on AI, okay? But now, absolutely not. It happened overnight. Overnight. They just kneecapped all of them. Somebody just types the younger Dryas question mark. What is your question? That's not... I need teal pears. It's moments like this I wish I drank or smoked weed or something. Hangman game on the board. That'd be fun, Nick. I have no idea how we'd pull that off here on a live stream. But it's nice to see you, buddy. God bless you and your work, Brother Ben. Thank you, BC Podcast. Appreciate that. My red pill was when you spoke of the DNA dreams. Yeah. Like to not go into that here. If we are on a 6,000-year cycle with a galactic current sheet and our G2 star, are other G2 stars closer to the galactic center also on a 6,000-year cycle or shorter, aka Fermi paradox? I'm not a fan of the Fermi paradox. They're here. They're all over the place, okay? And if NASA was honest about what they're finding on Mars, we would already know that Mars once had life and maybe still does. But no, the 6,000-year cycle in the Milky Way is pretty solid. In Andromeda, it might be 3,000, might be 8,000. Giggity. Ever asked, possibility this time of the gradual pole shift instead of a flip? No, I've never asked or thought about that. The Earth and the sun and the galaxy do the exact same thing over and over and over again. I don't understand why people keep asking me, like, what if it's different this time? Well, what if I wake up tomorrow and I'm a fucking blue giraffe? Oh, that would change some shit, huh? But guess what? Chances are the same shit that happened before is going to happen again. That's how the universe works. That is part of the great engineering of this realm. It doesn't change because you're scared or you have a wild imagination or any other shit like that. What happened before is going to happen again. That's how this works. Hi, Gran and Elizabeth. Thank you for those teal pears. My God, those were timely. Hi, any specific recommendations for Wyoming? Yeah. If there's no internet, if there is no grocery stores, if there's no gasoline, if there's no cars, if there's no anything, and it's 20 degrees colder in the wintertime, will you live or die? Nobody coming to help. No electricity. You going to live or you going to die? 10 winters in a row. That's my recommendation. Think about that question. B to the T Studios. I do it for fun. Been listening for 4 months. Right on. Gran in Geneva. Thank you again. These teal pears are really, really helpful. Appreciate it. Pray for the children every day, man. Every day. While I work on fixing the wood chipper. Mrs. Chef Yoda. I like that. That's a good one. Thank you for that teal pear. Jeffrey, thank you for that teal pear. I really appreciate it. Annie, that's not a teal pear, but I really like it a lot. I really do. Can you explain the meaning behind your tattoos? I could explain all of them. In fact, I would say that the chances of anybody else having put as much thought into their tattoos as I have is very little. They're all extremely meaningful. Am I willing to talk about that here? No. Fahed says, you promised to be nice. Yeah, I did, didn't I? But I always forget how dumb some of you are. And I do mean some. Most of you are not. For some reason, the dumbest among you like to do this a lot more than those of you who have something going on up here. Maybe it's because those of you with something going on up here realize you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen twice as much as you speak, which the other fraction of the community hasn't figured out yet. And I'm also being a lot nicer than I usually am. Toodaloo, GTSY Ben, except for the lithium. Another Paul too. I don't understand that comment at all. I don't know what any of that means. I know what Toodaloo means, but other than that. Helen and Ron, thank you for the teal pears. Ben, have you had the DNA dreams? If you don't want to answer, I understand. Definitely not talking about that here, Davo. Some of the things that have happened to me in the dead of night are horrifying. Although not so much now that I've become an adult. Have you been noticing the changes in the feathers of birds? There are a lot more reds and bright colors on birds that are normally just muted browns. I have not noticed that. That's interesting. I'd be interested to know if other people notice because it's not the kind of thing I look for. Erica, thank you for that teal pear. I like it a lot. Tesseract Unfolded. Well done on that username. And thank you for the teal pear. Appreciate that quite a bit. Olympus Overland, some of us find ourselves there almost every day, especially when we're doom scrolling on Twitter. How big is the sun? Dean, the sun is as big and as far away as they say it is. Okay, that's not false. Not a lie at all. Marco, I appreciate you very much. You are very, very welcome, by the way. Toyota Technical says, Jenna Bekov effect. Please touch on this for the love of God. What's wrong with the 3 videos I have made on it? I dedicated 3 videos in a row to that. It's in the homework, which I can tell you haven't done because you're asking that question. But no, I do not think that the Jenna Bekov effect is what happens to the Earth. I do not, for several reasons. which I'm not going to go into right now. Not the least of which being they don't exactly explain the evidence. How much gallons of plasma in the sun? 4. What kind of a question is that? Ben, have you seen the Boogosphere? I think it's horse shit, just like I think Ashton Forbes is horse shit. I think all of the official congressional videos and images of UFOs are horse shit. Bear in mind, I just told you a couple minutes ago, aliens are real. Aliens are here. They have been and they will be for a long time. There's a lot of fraud out there. And when it comes from the government, what that is an attempt to kill two birds with one stone. Throwing out something that will appease the UFO and NHI community while also flexing for China and Russia what our super secret technology actually can do. Because the things that they show, those aren't UFOs. That's us. Will the documentary have the option of Portuguese subtitles? I can't even begin to imagine how I would know that. I'm certainly not going to be translating it into Portuguese, so here's a good idea. Learn English. Your gut says Ashton Forbes is legit. Well, that's fantastic. I don't go by gut or intuition. I go by facts and logic and reason. All of which tells me he is full of shit. Ashton Forbes had the balls to come onto my Twitter page the other day. I straight up told him to the fuck off before I got angry. Grateful Preps, New Jersey. It's very good to see you. Ellie, thank you for that teal pair. We're only going to go about 13 or 14 more minutes here, because I'll have to put the children to sleep. Right now, they're torturing my mom and dad. It's very nice having grandparents visit for a while during the summer, because you can do things like a live stream even on days when you have the kids. Adventure Hawk, SOUSA Facebook page. Thanks for helping us grow to almost 1,000 members. Right on. Oh, I always forget. Dude, Arkborn, I always forget that's you. I always forget that's you. Yeah. Right on, man. It's good to see you. And my 60 says, we are much more aware than 99% of people. Do you have a strategy to approach those who aren't aware? Nope. Also, you look weird under that red light. How do I look now? I won't be doing that again. I don't care how I look. No, I will not be approaching anyone. Anybody who organically finds their way here because they have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and they have been somehow guided, fantastic. Other than that, I'm not going to be talking about Fight Club very much. And if they have gotten to here and they don't know to be looking for something like this, they can't sense that something's wrong, probably an NPC anyway. And commercial. Ben, the Micronovas on the 12th and 25th. Can we use their... Sharon, I don't know what you're talking... The Micronovas on the 12th and 25th, can we use their distance from each other to gauge their... Those were not Micronovas driven by the current sheet. That's not what those were. Those are actual supernova events, okay? At stars. Those have nothing to do with any of this. David says, repent. It's hard to really disagree with that. Tesseract says, looking forward to the event in October. Enjoy the hour-long Zoom meeting with Alon. I got to say, the experience event in October, that's going to be a thing. I think we're already over half full on that one. Alon and I are already planning the second one for early next year, if not later in this year. But because of how in-depth and how much one-on-one time you'll get with me and with Alon, we can only have, and it's a 2.5-day event. We can only have, like 20 people there. Otherwise, there's no way to actually give you what you deserve and what you need for the full spectrum, mental, physical, and spiritual readiness for what's coming. It sucks. I wish there was a way that we could just do huge events like that, but Tesseract, if you got in one of these early spots, I promise you're going to leave the ranch in October very, very happy. I have watched Alon do. I took this with Alon. I went to his house. I spent a week with him, and I know some of his other clients. We all say the same thing. Holy crap, is this worth it? Holy crap, is this worth it? Lightning outside. All right, let's see. We only got like 9 minutes left. All right, let's see how fast I can go through this. Oh. All right, Red Cloud, you settle down. Can you guys hear the thunder? Just curious. Let's get this the right height, actually. Darth Davidson. Really? I don't think that. Why American speaks in miles and feet, can't calculate in meters. Greg 13. Guess what? We can, but we just don't feel like being a little faggot. And now you don't get to talk on the channel anymore. You're a little bitch. Huh? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's the last 10 minutes. I'm allowed to be a dick. Wesley, thank you for the teal pair. Ben, do you think Elon Musk is aware of the risk of his EVs and his satellites of the suns? Yeah, he knows. I don't really know what's going through that guy's head half the time. He's also like the super cool kind of autistic, which means he can do amazing stuff, but it's not always going to make sense. It is what it is. Think it's possible for thousands or tens of thousands of satellites creating an artificial No, not even close. Could you briefly, and I don't mean to like just outwardly dismiss it, but I've gone through it. I've done the math. I've thought about it at length. No. Could you briefly explain the connection between the sun and earthquakes and comment on how solar activity can be matched to earthquake activity in the Pacific and or lack thereof? Well, I would say that you need to read the papers on it first, like the one that was in the morning show, the one that's in the chapters in my book on this topic, new book coming, probably going to start pre-sales in a week or two, by the way. And this is my coup de grace, the Compendium Magnifica. This is the book to buy. It's electromagnetic. It's through the geomagnetic field lines in the global electric circuit, specifically impacting subterranean water, iron, and piezoelectric crystals. It's the best I'm going to give you for a head start. That was actually a hell of a head start. With them hiding underground, can we survive above ground? I don't know what you're asking. With them, you mean like the elites? No, you're going to need protection. You're going to need shelter from what's coming. No doubt about it. Fifth Element for the win. Thank you, Helen. And yes, Fifth Element for the win. Lulu Dallas Multipass. Who in the scientific world do you respect for their professionalism and honesty regarding the disaster cycle? August Dunning. Leroy August Dunning. He's the only one I can name because the rest of them aren't retired and they're feeding me information and data and other stuff like that, which is why I get so angry when people are like, come on, Ben, just tell me. Tell me the names of the guys at NASA or the guys at the Harvard Center for Astrophysics who you're friends with and who are in on you with this. Why? So they can get in trouble and lose their tenure and lose their position and I lose my tool there and our community is just without this boon of information and knowledge and wisdom? No, thank you. I like them right where they are. That's where we need them. I'm not going to throw them under the bus in public. But August doesn't give a shit. So August Dunning. If you were to stock 3 things, what would those be? Seeds, guns, bullets. I also highly recommend stocking more than 3 things. Divorce is hard. I've been praying for you. Man, you don't need to say stuff like that. I know y'all just found out about the divorce, but Kat and I split 5 years ago. Okay? A lot has happened. If you want to think of anything, think about what's happened over the last 5 years and try to pinpoint where I fell apart. Try to pinpoint where the channel stopped updating and giving news on the sun and the disaster cycle every day. Try to figure out where Observer Ranch fell apart and didn't get built. Try to figure out where I stopped writing books. Oh, none of those things happened? Maybe I'm not the one you should be worried about then. Find the spot where I got depressed and I gained 100 pounds. Oh, what? That didn't happen either? Maybe I'm not the one you should be worried about. Gran, I appreciate you. Created some SOTL pairs, sent them to you. If you sent them a while ago, I got them and they're cool. If you did it more recently, I can't wait to see them. People do it. People like craft me teal pairs and send them. I think it's awesome. AI sucks almost as much as Denver does. You watch your mouth. There is nothing that sucks as bad as Denver does. And liberals in general. Red pill moment. Thickness of the earth, crust, proportion, sun versus earth, and magnetic induction and low velocity zones. All right, never mind. Jeffrey, I see where you're going. Appreciate the contribution. I get it. We're coming up on it here, guys. Gran, thank you again. I love you so much. Did you hear about the magnitude 4.6 earthquake in Naples today? Campy Flegri needs to chill out. And yes, we can hear the thunder. Right on, Andrew. And yet, there's a reason why you can go and you can find this. It was 4 years ago. I was like, hey, everyone. I know there's not a lot happening there right now, but Campy Flegri in Italy, that's your scariest volcano in the entire world. I'm sure some of you remember this, right? Some of you have to remember this. It's been more than 4 years, actually, because it was in the beginning part of 2021. So it was like in February or March of 2021. I was like, guys, look, yes, the volcanoes are going to be a problem, but first on the list, biggest on the list, Campy Flegri scares the shit out of me. I think it's been proving itself over the last 2 years, right? Yeah. No, I didn't specifically see that, but I only check earthquakes when I wake up in the morning before the morning show, so I would have seen it tomorrow morning, but I'm not surprised, and nothing's changed. Campy Flegri is still number 1 on my list. Scariest volcano in the world. Fine, buy a coffee. Exo headquarters. I'll do that right after I check my email. How about that? Apollo, message retracted. I haven't got a lot of text messages during this. That's impressive. Are you honored to be here? I don't know if you're asking that as a plain question or you mean something else by that. I feel honored that all of you guys watch the show. I feel honored that so many people are subscribed. I feel honored that so many people are so interested in what is legitimately nerdy science stuff. Granted, it does have some non-nerdy implications for our real world here. But, yeah. Susie Rose Finley, I was expecting to see you at some point. It's always good to see you and Leia. She was back at the ranch this past weekend for the prepper event, the SAS, Situational Awareness. That was good. That was good. And those are going to get better every single time because we're going to integrate everyone's ideas from the previous ones. Come to a situational awareness event at the ranch. They're epic. Oh, that's going to be loud. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, it's far away. You guys know that trick. Count after you see. I was like 15. Hey, Ben, just wanted to share. I miss the fly on the wall days. Victoria, I really do too. Really do too. I was just teasing about being nice in response to a stupid question you received. I suppose you were nice enough. Anyway, I do have a question, if I may. And then you don't ask. And then you don't ask the question. Yeah, man. Ask away. The Kentuckian, thank you for that teal pair. I like it. BC podcast. I'm noticing a lot of Be Something podcast. It is hailing outside right now. Fantastic. And that's 1 hour. All right, I'm going to finish these up and then we got to go. 2016 had a vision. I saw that energy from the center of the galaxy was coming to Earth, mass awakening, mass insanity. Makes sense, question mark. I wrote about it in my book, The Unbound Soul. That's probably not how I would phrase it, but it's not the worst way I've heard it. Ben, are you salty in person? No. This is very much just having to deal with that. I watched all your materials and I respect everything you've done over the past decade. One thing I don't understand is, for example, if a wave 1,000 feet high moves inland, how far does it go versus up? Look up wave run-up science. So let's say you've got, let's say this is your beach, and you can do this with just normal waves. You can have a wave that's right here. That's its crest, and yet it'll run all the way up to there. And so there's actual equations for wave run-up height. Look those up. Now it's going to be really hard because it's not like there's a ramp from the ocean to you. It's undulating, but you can at least start to get your head around that. Good question. A legitimate question, if I may say so myself. Born Again Farm Girl. I really love that username. It's good to see you. Thank you very much. All right, guys. We're going to call it here, especially because I got to put the kids to sleep. Then I've got a bunch of journals and science to check before the morning show. But hopefully I will see you there tomorrow morning. And be safe, everyone.